All right, so we are continuing on with the Gospel of Thomas. We're finishing up this evening, and we're starting on page 215 uh, with verse number 110. And this is an interesting one. He says, Yeshua said, "Whoever has found the world and become wealthy, may he renounce the world." Or this is prescient. We were talking about this earlier, Heidi. This is that notion that the renunciation of the world. And what is renunciation about? I mean, the what Jesus is saying here is that until you have something to renounce, don't renounce. In the sense that so this is something Vivekananda also said. He would tell the young men, he says, go out, enjoy the world, get an education, get some money, get a taste of what the world is before you renounce it, right? Get some discernment, some experience about life in the world. Because renunciation it's not that you want to castrate yourself as such or clip something off before you have any knowledge of it, before you know what you're doing. That there's that is kind of self-abuse. That's repression, as it were. And the experience with repression is that it's going to manifest somehow. If you have a desire that has not been discerned, that you have not looked at it carefully, understood its nature, and come to the conclusion that what you want does not lay there, that what you are seeking cannot be found there, then it's not time for you to let go, or not time for you to renounce it, to cut it off, right? So this is that period of discernment where you're going in and you're looking and you're noticing, well, it doesn't last. The fruits of this vice of mine do not last. They're not abiding. So if I was to enjoy them, I would be beholden to them. I would be enslaved to them because I would have to constantly return to them in order to get my satisfaction from them, that there's nothing lasting there. And you would look and you would count the cost of it. It's like, exactly how much effort did this uh, desire, or this object of desire, require of me? Drinking's always an easy one. When you look at drinking, is not just the sitting and taking the drink and getting drunk. It's the cost of the alcohol. It's the ritual that you have around that alcohol. You have to go out, you have to get up, you have to get ready, you have to get out there, you hang out in your club or your bar or your whatever it is that you're doing. It's the cost of the drink. And you think of how much work, how much effort goes into buying those. I mean, nowadays those things are outrageously expensive. I see at I was having some Mexican food with someone the other day, and the margarita was like $12. And I was like, holy Toledo, $12 for a single drink. I was like, that's an incredible cost. But you take a look at it from all of those angles, and you look at what would be involved in having that as something that you're pursuing for your comfort or your joy or your happiness, or what does it require of you? And you look around at people that you know that have chosen that. And you may maybe stop at an AA meeting and get a firsthand insight of exactly what it is that it takes to invest in that. Because the watchword in Vedanta, or the watchword in spiritual life, is freedom, right? And freedom is to have, the ultimate freedom is to have no desire, which means you are perfectly content in the moment as it is, that you're able to find your bliss in this moment as it is, right? That you need nothing outside of yourself for that satisfaction, for that contentment, for your bliss. Because any time that we have to reach outside of ourselves for something, according to Swami Prabhupada, we are beholden to that thing. You're enslaved to that thing. If you remember, I mentioned that came after in a conversation with the Swami about taking drugs. And I wanted to know, is there any validity in experimenting with these drugs, these peyote and all of these other gateways to experience. And at that time, I think it was Houston Smith had come out with a book on drugs and spiritual life. And so that's what brought the question up. And Swami Prabhupada, he could surprise me actually, because I expected him to get kind of prudish on me and be like, "Oh no, no, no! Of course, there's nothing. No, don't touch it. Get away from it. Don't even talk about it. Oh, ram, 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 ram." Right? And that wasn't the response I got at all. He actually said, "Yes, there is some validity to the experiences that can be had through those drugs." And he said, it's a dangerous walk because of the amount of self-discipline that it requires for someone to experiment with those things and not get caught in those things. He said, furthermore, he was the one that used that word or that phrase, the watchword of spiritual life is freedom. And he said, anytime that you have to go outside of yourself for those experiences, you become beholden to that thing to which which is giving you what you're seeking. And he says it's unnecessary because he said all of those experiences that can be had through those various drugs, he said, can be your own without them. They can be attained through spiritual practice, through purifying the mind. And you get some of that. I think it was Ram Dass was saying that his teacher, when they gave him LSD, that it didn't change his behavior at all, that he was completely able to imbibe and actually control or see through the experience, which shows us that those things affect the mind, right? But that the self, the observer, if a person is aware of their inner nature and has been able to separate themselves from body mind as the witness, that they can remain unaffected. And so we see there's nothing magical happening in those experiences. You're not going someplace or having the audience of. That's the experience of it, and that's perfectly fine because that's the experience of life as well. That here we are experiencing the unreal as real and growing from that experience and learning from that experience. And so there's nothing wrong with going in those directions in that way as far as those things go. That's a subset of the verse here. But really, what he's really concerned with here is not this immature or unripe renunciation, where you're giving up things before you know that you have any knowledge of them or any experience of them. And so Ram Vivekananda, as I was saying, would tell his young men to go out and get some experience, go out and learn to play football before you renounce it. Go out and learn how to get yourself in shape before you renounce the body. He says, have something to renounce. Know what money is and what the experience of money is before you renounce it. That way, your renunciation is true. Because the highest renunciation is simply finding the moment perfect, always, as it is, right? And so, it has a lot to do. Like I remember at the point when I was trying to decide about my own diet, am I going to become vegetarian? Am I going to renounce meat eating and whatnot? And I thought to myself, well, that's one possibility. And it was a personal decision for me not to be vegetarian because I thought to myself, I don't ever want to be a burden on others. And since I'm a monk, quite often it's others that are feeding me, others that are providing me with my sustenance. And I said, probably the best renunciation for me is to be content with what's given to me. So somebody gives me a plate of food, without comment or judgment, I eat it in graciousness, appreciation, whether it has meat on it or it's vegetarian or it's a food I don't like. They give me a plate of bitter melon or something. Boy, that would be a challenge. But real renunciation is not so much pushing the things away as understanding the nature of something, realizing it's not for you, and walking away from it. And actually, I heard somebody talk about that renouncing the world is not you renouncing the world, but the world should renounce you, which means you no longer have a desire for the things, that they are no longer providing you with the pleasures that you once got from them. Right? That you've taken and understood them for what they are, and you see through them. You understand that it's a distraction and that it's not giving you anything and it's not taking you anywhere that you want to go. All right. And so this verse here is that whoever has found the world and become wealthy, right? So you have found the world, you've interacted with it, you've become wealthy, you've seen how it works, you've seen what the benefit and what it has to offer, you've experienced that wealth, then renounce the world, right? Then walk away from it because it's been fully known by you. If you do it before that, like I say, it gives what I call a spiritual hernia, which means it'll manifest in weird fetishes or alternative desires that are odd, that are even more unhealthy than the original desire was. You know, you start looking for that experience without getting it. Your mind will come up with alternative experiences to explore the same sensations or the same ideal, uh, but they're off color because you had to go around your renunciation to experience them, because the body, the mind had not let go of that notion. All right. Number 111. Yeshua said, "The heavens and the earth will roll up before you. The living who come from the living will know neither fear nor death. For it is said, whoever has self-knowledge, the world cannot contain them." Right? So the world will roll up before you. This idea that you will see things as they are. You will see through the narratives of the world. It's like going to a movie and not being able to get caught up in the narrative of the film because you can't stop being aware that you're sitting in a seat in a theater and watching a screen, right? And that with just a rolling set of colors on it, still images. And so you fall out of the hypnotization, right? Because that's what a movie is. A movie is a hypnotization. It hypnotizes you into identifying with the main character and actually becoming the main character. That's why you find yourself weeping or laughing or terrified or whatnot from the movie, because you've been hypnotized into thinking that something utterly unreal is real and experiencing that from that perspective. And so this idea here, the heavens and the earth will roll up before you, meaning they will withdraw their hypnotization from you. You will no longer be able to believe that it's real, right? And this is an experience that comes with a lot of inner discernment, a lot of uh, maintaining your attention within yourself, not forgetting your awareness, not forgetting your presence in the moment, not being pulled off into the current narrative of the mind, which has you trying to accomplish something or trying to attain something or trying to get something, whether that's your paycheck or whether that's your big house or whether that's your perfect partner or whether that's, the idea of a dog, any of these things that the world offers you. You can read in that Upanishad, the Katha Upanishad, and look at all of the different things that Nachiketas is offered by the King of Death. Instead of knowing the truth, instead of knowing the reality, the King of Death offers him, "I'll give you great power," right? Or since we're doing a class here within the Christian context, Jesus, when he's taken out into the desert for 40 days, and Satan takes him up, and Satan, of course, as we know, is really the personalization of egoism, right? The ego. And so he's taken up and offered the gifts of egoism. "I'll give you all of this power so that all of the worlds will bow down at your feet. All you have to do is kneel to me." And, he says, or great wealth. "I'll give you all the wealth," or pleasure. "I'll give you all of the wives that you want, all of the pleasures of heavenly nymphs, can be yours." And Jesus refutes each one of them with a scriptural quote and refuses them, right? Lets them go. And so this is, it's interesting because I know at least through three incarnations, like Jesus and then Buddha When Mara comes in his final meditation, Mara also comes and dances in front of him and offers him all of these things, right? And he renounces them, just like pulling on a shade, rolls up at the top like it does in the cartoons. Like, no thanks. I have no interest in that whatsoever. It wasn't an effort of renunciation where he gritted his teeth and denied. It's that he saw the reality of and let it fall, had no interest in picking it up again. So the living who come from the living will know neither fear nor death. And so this living is that idea of knowing the self, knowing yourself as soul, that you are eternal, that you are not mortal, you will never die. And when they say that you are immortal, the world's religions, they mean it. You will never die. That which dies is the body, and you are not the body, right? The body is a manifestation of your own mind, and you're not your own mind because you have to watch it and see what it has to say. And so the mind is not there. And so that is what it is to be the living, born of the living. Those who know through their lineage of their gurus, their teachers, the wisdoms, the writings of the wise, their own true nature. That's the living, born of the living, right? If you are not living in that awareness of self, you're already dead. You know, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years. It's like what Nachiketa says in the Upanishad. You know, a long life is short indeed on the last day. Right. So coming to know this, he says, will know neither fear nor death. No fear because you have an inner experience of your immortality, right? A knowledge of your immortality. And this is not a mental progress. This is not a philosophical understanding. It's not a belief. It has nothing to do with believing. It has to do with an inner knowing that you can only have when you know what you are, when nothing is telling you, right? And that nothing telling you means even your own mind. When your experience of the moment is not based on the senses and not based on the narratives playing through the front of your thought through the mind, when you've silenced both of those and sat in that silence, which is the point of personal or spiritual practice, your awareness then knows your nature. It is revealed to you. Until you're able to silence the mind and until you're able to discern yourself as being separate from the body through your practice, you cannot see the subtleties, the truth that is in this subtle nature of yours, this spiritual nature of yours. But in that silence, you become deeply aware of who you are, and it cannot be spoken. It cannot be put into words, which is why they call it the mystery, or any of those mysteries, those spiritual mysteries. For it is said, whoever has self-knowledge, the world cannot contain them. Right? This is what Vivekananda says, right? That I am not in Alameda, the city of Alameda. He said, the city of Alameda is in me. Because we cannot be contained in the world. The world is contained within us. And this is most easily seen as an example with the dream that you have each night, potentially. You know, when that dream, the experience of dreaming is being in the dream. That you are within the dream and you are subject to the narrative of the dream, you're subject to the experiences of the dream. But the reality of that dream is that it is in you. You are the dreamer. You are not the dreamed. But when you're in that dream, you could swear that it's real and that it's happening to you, right? That's why you're running in terror uh, for whatever's happening or whatever the experience of that particular dream is. So whoever has self-knowledge is to know that the dream is within you, that I am the dreamer and that I am dreaming. And then you can enjoy the dream. The dream, you know, it cannot affect you, it cannot harm you, it cannot benefit you. It simply is. And so you know you exist in your awareness of self within that dream, unaffected by it. And that's how it is to live in this world, that the nature of this world is not so very different from the dream state, right? That the nature of this world is interpreted also by the senses and the mind before you get to experience it. So you get to experience only the interpretations of the world according to your senses and your mind. You cannot have a direct experience of this world. There's only one direct experience of this world, and that is your realization when you come to that knowledge of who you are. And that is why everything changes for you at that moment, because a direct experience uh, does not come to you through the senses. It comes to you through the back door, as it were. It comes to you directly before mind and before body, and it comes with a clarity and a resolution. If you're a game player, a resolution that is higher than reality, than the seeming reality of daily life. Right? So whoever has self-knowledge, the world cannot contain them. You cannot be bound by the world. That's another option of that can be seen in here. So not only is the world in you, you are not in the world, but also the world cannot be your container. It cannot imprison you. It cannot pull you into its narrative and make you subject to it. All right. Yes. And that place where one stands when all of this, to see all that this is talking about, is in that constant awareness of the presence, right? Being purely in the moment. And for a lover of God, that means to be constantly aware of the presence of God, just like Brother Lawrence experienced, right? To be always, what would you say, always consciously aware that you are in the divine presence, that the dream that you seem to be in is God, and to have a direct knowledge of that, not mapping over a belief, not trusting a suspicion, but seeing it. I think we're going to be starting up on Monday nights soon on uh, the Peace Pilgrim. Good Lord, this mind's going to be a wrinkled Kleenex by the time I'm finished with it. That the Peace Pilgrim, she talks about an experience she had where she saw everything as consciousness. She said everything turned golden and luminous, and it seemed as if almost flecks of gold were drifting down like snow all around her through all of that she was looking at. Something like that is a direct experience of the reality, where you see the nature of it, and it's undeniable that this world is not as it appears to the senses, that there is something transcendental about it, something that is behind it, as it were. So that's also a part of this knowledge. All right, and here on Logion number 112, Yeshua said, "Wretched is the flesh that depends on the soul, and wretched is the soul that depends on the flesh." Right? So what is here is this what is wretched about this condition of ours is, and it's not just the flesh. The flesh here could also be mind as well as body, but maybe he's talking more about the gross matter. So we'll talk the flesh. You see, our condition that causes so much suffering is the confusion with ourself as body, right? It's like your problem in the dream at night is not that you're dreaming. The problem is that you believe yourself to be the body in the dream. You believe yourself to be the point of reference in the dream. And so in this world from day to day, believing yourself to be the body is what leads to evil, right? Believing yourself to be the body is what causes you to desire the different pleasures, right? Which are intoxicating, yes, but they also are, they imprison you, they hold you. And then they begin to determine your narrative for you. You're no longer in control of yourself. You're no longer seeing things as they are, but you're following the body in the things that it desires. So it makes you selfish. It is the body that wants the last piece of pizza and thinks it should have it above and beyond every other body, right? It's the body that makes it okay to use somebody else for your own means, for your own pleasures, for your own ends, whatever that might be. It's your confusion with the body that gives you fear, because the body is vulnerable to a myriad of external forces. It's your belief that you are the body that turns one into a racist, because by identifying yourself with a body, you then start comparing your body to others. And it is what causes you to become judgmental, right? Oh, that person's fat. Oh, that person's snotty. Oh, that person's uneducated. Oh, that person's old, right? Oh, that person's poor, right? All of these things. Ramakrishna, one of the things Ramakrishna says is that lust and greed are the root of this whole manifested world, right? The seeking after pleasure, and the need to take care of your smallness, your vulnerability. So you run after wealth and power to take care of that vulnerability. Everybody wants ultimate security. If you believe yourself to be a body, you don't have ultimate security. So you go outside of yourself to find it. You try to be as rich as you possibly can, right? And you look at these billionaires that are so much in the news these days. You look at the projects that they're working on in their personal lives. These apocalyptic bunkers that they're trying to build, these islands that are far off by themselves where they own the whole thing, where they can determine the safety. They try and work out control of everybody else, right? This whole idea of gathering all of this constant surveillance information about all of us is for what? To try and control us, to try and keep us in our place and keep their place assured, their security assured, right? So anytime that we identify ourselves with body, those are the fruits of that. That's what's going to happen to you. You see that very clearly mapped out in the Garden of Eden, right? When Adam and Eve first partake of the fruit of egoism, the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, when they first eat it, the first thing is that they realize that they're naked, right? That's the vulnerability. That's the vulnerability to all the conditions in the world. The second was that when they heard God walking in the cool of the day, they ran and hid out of fear, right? Fear was born to them. They experienced fear, fear of the other, right? Because when you identify with body, you become separate and apart from the whole. And that whole is much bigger than your part. And so fear is born from that, right? And then because they're defining themselves from the externals, defining themselves through the senses, because it was through the senses that they saw that the fruit was good. It was through the senses that and the mind that they thought that the fruit would give them knowledge. And it was through those same senses and mind that they thought that the fruit would make them like God, that it would make them complete them. So it's that whole process of reaching outside of ourselves for meaning, reaching outside of ourselves for fulfillment, reaching outside of ourselves for strength. And the curse of the garden was the curse of eating that fruit, or the natural progression of what would come from thinking that way, is that the Lord said, for all the days of your life, you're going to till at the dust of the earth to fulfill your desires. Right. And so look at the world, look at our lives. How much time, we go to work 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day for what? The big house, the security, the beautiful wife, the handsome husband, the big long vacations, the children, all of these things. And all the days of your life Right now it's up until you're 65, but there's talk in the wind even now that that's going to go away. So literally all the days of your life, you'll have to work to maintain because your money's constantly going out. Everything that you collect is constantly decaying. That new car is becoming an old car. That new house is becoming an old house. And everything is constantly having to be replaced, right? Over and over and over and over again. Nothing that you gather remains. And so that is the price of trying to find your satisfaction and your meaning outside of your own self. And when we identify as body, that's what happens. So wretched is the flesh that depends on the soul, and wretched is the soul that depends on the flesh. And that's just to say that whether you believe yourself a body who has a soul and wants that immortality and wants all those things, that's a wretched running after as well. And the other way around, if you know yourself to be a soul, but you want the body, you're longing for its pleasures and its ways, you are in a wretched state of being. It's not that you're ugly and mean, it's just that it's wretched, meaning it's just a horrible experience of being. And when someone says, "Oh, that's a horrible state of being," and you're thinking about your life, my life isn't wretched. Well, understand that we live in a relative world, right? And if you're at one end, like there's a study that's done, you can actually burn to death without ever feeling the heat. If you go into an oven and it starts at the normal temperature and they just go up 1 degree at a time, you will keep adjusting to that 1 degree all the way up until you're being cooked without feeling that pain because you just slowly accept it. Ramakrishna says if you're walking on a street that's slowly going downhill, it'll be a long time before you even realize that you've gone downhill. And when you realize it, you'll be like, wow, how far I've come downhill, how far I've fallen, right? And so this is the dangerousness, the danger in the relative world, that you will slowly accept your conditions until they're wretched, right? I one time saw a man in the alley on Polk Street in San Francisco who was standing there without a shirt, and he was in ecstasy, and he was like, eyes wide open, his hands reaching up to the sky, and he was just giving a shout of, ah, and hanging out of his arm was the needle for the drugs he was on, right? If you don't go from your living room to the alley in Polk Street in one foul swoop like that. That happens one experience at a time, slowly, 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 until you wake up. One of my very close friends uh, turned his life around only after he woke up in his own vomit with his face down in the gutter, also on Polk Street, ironically, in San Francisco. And when he woke up that next morning in that condition, having no memory of how he got there and what happened, that didn't happen in one day. That happened with one drink, two drinks, four drinks over a long period of time, until you get accustomed to going out and blacking out and accept that as your reality and laugh it off for a while. And then one day you can't laugh it off anymore. That's the wretchedness that he's talking about. It can be invisible, but it is wretched. And when you realize the wretchedness, how far downhill have you gone? And how far uphill do you have to get now from that position, right? And so it's not a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of what's helpful and unhelpful to you, right? The scriptures say, they teach us if when given a choice between the pleasant and the good, the wise choose the good, right? And what is the good? Consider how you're going to feel in the morning, right? Consider how you're going to feel in the morning. Discern. That's how we stay on the path of the good, that which is helpful to us, and don't get deluded into the path of the pleasant, which will take us down one slight rung at a time to the bottom. Lojian, number 113. The disciples asked him, "When will the kingdom come?" Yeshua answered, It will not come by watching for it. No one will be saying, "Look, here it is," or "Look, there it is." The kingdom of the Father is spread over the whole earth, and people do not see it. Right? And so this whole notion, this is quite fascinating here. When will the kingdom of come? It will not come by watching for it. All right? Why? Because the kingdom of God is within you. And within you is the you that's watching. Right? So the kingdom of God is not going to be something in front of your senses. It's not going to be something in front of your mind. It is that in you which is watching the mind, that in you which is watching the body, right? That self, that you, knowing that self is what leads you to that bliss, to that wisdom of being, right? And to be aware of it. And so if you're looking for something, you'll never find the kingdom, because the kingdom is that which is looking. So it can't see itself. When will the kingdom come? It will not come by watching for it, right? And also because it is always present, right? It is always present within you. It's like a fish trying to find water, right? It's immersed in water. Water's all around it, but it can't see it, can't experience it. And if it's going and looking for the water, how long will it search, right? How long does a fish have to search to find the water? It will not come by watching for it. No one will be saying, "Look, here it is," right? Because it's the same for everyone. So no one out there is seeing it, or even experiencing it as it's a thing that can be gotten, right? It's like looking for your cell phone when it's in your back pocket. You can look and look and look and look and look and look and look, and you're never going to find it. Well, how lost is it? Well, it's always been right there. And the kingdom of the divine is the same. It is within you. It is always present in you. As soon as you're no longer distracted by the body and its turmoil, and the mind and its stories and narratives, and you withdraw from them, you renounce, and you sit within yourself, in that silence, you will find it. In that silence, you will know it. Right? The kingdom of the Father is spread over the whole earth, and people do not see it. Right? And so that's very much, we'll go back to our fish. It's everywhere. The divine is everywhere present. It inundates everything. It's like going into your being in the dream, right? And looking for the dream. Where is the dream? This everything that I'm seeing here is real, but somebody said there's a dream happening. I want to see the dream. Where is it? Right? Well, the dream is what you're in. It's everything. It's even you in that dream. Right? The body you're using to run around that dream is as much a part of the dream as everything that's being presented to your perspective in that dream. And so you can live the whole dream looking for the dream and never find it. But oddly enough, you never left it. It was everywhere and constantly present around you. Number 114. Simon Peter said to him, "Mary should leave us, for women are not worthy of the life." Yeshua answered, "This is how I will guide her, so that she becomes man. She too will become a living breath like you men. Any woman who makes herself a man will enter into the kingdom of God." Now, we're just talking about a woman becoming a man there because Peter asked the question. if if Sarah had asked the question, it would have been a different answer. And what is he saying here? Just, when Jesus said, when the Pharisees tried to trick him and says, if a man marries a woman and she dies, and then he marries another woman, when they go to heaven, whose husband is he? Right? Whose husband is he? And Jesus just looks at them and says, "Look, in heaven there is no marriage." Now, does that mean there's no marriage in heaven? What that means is there's no gender in heaven. Gender is a construct of mind and body. It has nothing to do with your soul, with yourself. Your soul is genderless. And so I often like to point out that this whole idea of this transsexuality, or this notion that I'm not the sex of my body, is actually a high state of understanding. Not many of us get to understand that we're not our gender, that to get to understand that that it is something separate from us, right? That doesn't mean that we should go and try to be the other gender. Better is to understand, wow, I'm transcendent to gender. I'm neither gender, or I'm both of them, right? I can manifest as either one of them. And so this notion that as long as you're seeing gender, it's because you yourself are identified with your body, right? You've attached to your body, and that's what's giving you your delusion. And so we have to transcend body. There's a place where Vivekananda is challenged by Vijnanananda in big about when Vivekananda came to the West. He stayed with women, and he spent lots of time with women. He went camping for 2 weeks with 5 women on his own, with no other men. And of course, as a Westerner, we're like, so what? But if you were raised in India, your teeth would be on the floor at this moment. Like, oh my God, he did what? He was a sannyasin and he was camping with women, and there were no men there at all? Are you kidding me? Right? They would have thrown him out of the church immediately for such a thing. And Rama and Vivekananda gets very, very, very grave. And he looks at Vijnanananda and he says to him, do you think that I think myself a man or a woman? Do you think that I see people as men or women? Because he had transcended that state. He was a realized soul. And it's a very high state to be. I wouldn't say go practice it this way on your own, but understand that your reality is that you're neither male nor female. And when you come to know that you're not the body through your spiritual practice, when you come to know that you are something that contains the body, but you are not the body, then you understand that that is just a thought that you've attached to about yourself, and it has defined the world that you live in, right? And it has caused here Simon Peter to actually be able to say something, women are not worthy of the life. See, that's the wretchedness of being attached to your body, that you would be able to say something absurd like that, right? To judge and to throw off half the world's population as being unworthy from your male perspective. Boy, this is why the church has so many issues with patriarchy, right? Yeshua answered, this is how I'm going to teach her so that she can become a man, right? So here we see, even within this Christian writing, that gender is fluid. He's going to teach Mary how to become a man, right? That she too will become a living breath like you men, right? That she'll come to know what is that breath. Remember when Adam was created in in the beginning, as the Bible tells it, that God first created Adam and then breathed the breath of life into him. Adam laid there as an object, a body, not Adam, not the living Adam, until God breathed the breath of life into that body, right? Then the body was animated. Then it became a manifestation that it was that he called Adam. And so you, all of us, whether male or female, that body is not you until the breath of life, until the soul is in it. And it is the same breath of life in all of us. And that same breath of life is without gender, is without sex in all of us. And it is our task to find that image of God, that breath of life, and to identify ourselves with that and not with the body, that will set us free, that will allow us to know the kingdom of heaven, to know the kingdom of the divine. She too will become that living breath, that soul, like you men. Any woman who makes herself a man will enter into the kingdom of God. right? And again, he's only taking the male perspective here because Peter asked the question. If Mary had asked the question, it would just as easily say any man who makes himself a woman will enter into the kingdom of God. It's simply that knowing that you are the breath of life. You are not the body that it was blown into. You are the image of God, which contains all manifestations of gender, right? Here, this is interesting. He gives quite a wonderful thing here that I'm going to share. He says, it is instructive to contrast this verse with the following long passage from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. In that gospel, we again find Peter, the representative of a repressive, patriarchal attitude toward women. We also find there the theme of the perfected human being, but in a different expression, as those who have integrated the masculine and feminine in themselves, whatever their biological sex happens to be. And the quote from the Gospel of Mary is this: After saying this, the Blessed One greeted them all, saying, Peace be with you. May my peace arise and be fulfilled within you. Be vigilant and allow no one to mislead you by saying, Here it is, or there it is, for it is within you that the Son of Man dwells. Go to him, for those who seek him find him. Walk forward, go forward, our famous teaching. Walk forward and announce the gospel, the good news of the kingdom. Impose no law other than that which I have witnessed. Do not add more laws to those given in the Torah, lest you become bound by them. Right? And this is that whole idea of narratives that we talk about, right? The narratives of the mind. The more narratives that you come up with, you have to obey them. If you sit down and say, oh, I hate spiritual practice, or oh, this is so boring, those are all narratives, laws binding you that you've said that now you have to experience. Because every time you sit down to do your prayers, you're going to think, oh, this is boring. And that's the starting place you'll have to begin from each time. And so we start with positive narratives, right? We constantly say to ourselves, I'm ever free. I'm loved by God. I am love itself. I'm made in the image of God. Always remembering the highest. And that because we become what we think, right? You become what you think. Impose no law other than that which I've witnessed. Having said all this, he departed. The disciples were in sorrow, shedding many tears, and saying, how are we to go among the unbelievers and announce the gospel of the kingdom of the Son of Man? They did not spare his life, so why should they spare ours? Then Mary arose, embraced them all, and began to speak to her brothers. Do not remain in sorrow and doubt, for his grace will guide you and comfort you. Right? This is where all of our strength comes from, by this grace. It's understanding the nature of the kingdom within you, the nature of the soul, which is an unconditioned love. Our struggle in life is to learn to trust a love that has no condition. No condition. That's a terrifying thing to most of us. We'll think, oh my God, I'm going to get in all kinds of trouble if I can find a love that has no condition on me. No, that's an egoistic perspective. A love that has no condition is the highest inspiration for life. It will release you from being what you don't want to be and lift you up into the highest of what you can imagine yourself to be. Do not remain in sorrow and doubt, for his grace will guide you and comfort you. Instead, let us praise his greatness, right? So instead, let us think of the highest things. Let us praise that nature, the highest ideals of the divine beloved, for he has prepared us for this. He is calling upon us to become fully human. Thus Mary turned their hearts toward the good, and they began to discuss the meaning of the teacher's words. Peter said to Mary, Sister, we know that the teacher loved you differently from other women. Tell us whatever you remember of any words he told you which we have not heard. Mary said to them, I will now speak to you of that which has not been given to you to hear. Right. So having said all of this, so Mary finishes her long, henceforth I travel toward repose, where time rests in the eternity of time. I go now into silence. Having said all this, Mary became silent, for it was in silence that the teacher spoke to her. Then Andrew began to speak and said to his brothers, "Tell me, what do you think of these things she has been telling us? As for me, I do not believe that the teacher would speak like this. These ideas are too different from those we have known." And Peter added, "How is it possible that the teacher talked in this manner with a woman, about secrets of which we ourselves are ignorant? Must we change our customs and listen to this woman? Did he really choose her and prefer her to us?" Then Mary wept and answered him, "My brother Peter, what can you be thinking? Do you believe that this is just my own imagination and that I invented this vision? Or do you believe that I would lie about our teacher?" At this, Levi spoke up, "Peter, you have always been hot-tempered, and now we see you repudiating a woman just as our adversaries do. Yet if the teacher held her worthy, who are you to reject her? Surely the teacher knew her well, for he loved her more than us. Therefore let us atone and become fully human, so that the teacher can take root in us. Let us grow as he demanded of us, and walk forward to spread the word, without trying to lay down any rules and laws other than those he witnessed." And so thus ends our excursion into the Gospel of Thomas, stepping into silence to hear the teacher, right? So that you can know, for that is where the real teacher teaches. For all of this is already known to you, the breath of the divine within this body you call your own. Remember that and be free. Define yourself by that and unburden yourself. All right. Let's stop the recording.